Shalom Aleichem. I'd like to speak today about the prophecies of Bilam in Parashat Balak. Those prophecies are divided into prophecies of the time that's after the incident with Balak and Bilam, and the prophecies of the end of days. What are we right now experiencing? The last prophecy of Bilam speaks exactly about that. The days before the Mashiach, what will happen? And he starts off with the following words. He says, Er'enu velo ata, ashurenu velo karov. I will see him, but it's not for now. In other words, my vision is not for now, but rather, ashurenu velo karov. It's from far away, far from now. When is it? The pasuk starts, V'atayin ani holech le'ami, lecha yatzcha asher yaseh ha'am hazeh le'amecha be'acharit ayamim, in the end of days. Which means before the Mashiach will come. When he speaks to Balak, he tells him, Asher yaseh ha'am hazeh le'amecha, what this nation, Am Yisrael, will do to your nation. Who's this nation? Rashi says, Moav. Omar lecha ma she'en atidim la'ara le'Moav b'acharit hayamim. I will show you, I will demonstrate to you what Am Yisrael will do to Moav. There's three nations that are mentioned in this last prophecy. The empire of Edom, the empire, if we can call it like that, of Ishmael, the Arabs, and Moab. Who are those three? Let's see. There is a Gaon Mivilna in Kol HaTorah who says that before Mashiach will come, there will be three klipot, three empires that will rule over the world, and eventually Mashiach comes and he will knock them off. Who are these? Malchut Edom, Malchut Ishmael, and Malchut Erev Rav, which means Edom, which is considered the Christians, Malchut Arish'ah. Those are the Rome that exiled Am Yisrael from their temple and from Yerushalayim. Ishmael, which is the empire that will be ruling throughout the last days, and then also Malchut of Erev Rav. Erev Rav are people that come from all different nations, but they don't have necessarily a nation that they belong to, but rather an idealism, something that is collected from all different types of ideologies. And let's touch into those three things. In the prophecy of Bilam, he speaks about Edom clearly, and he says about them, and again, Edom, the Ramban explains that is Rome, and that represents the Christians throughout history. And Bilam says in the last prophecy what will happen in the end of days, Vaya Edom Yerusha, Vaya Yerusha Seir Oivav, V'Yisrael Osa Chayil. Israel in the end of days will be able to be victorious over Edom. Israel Osa Chayil. Then he speaks about Cain or the Keni, and these are the Ishmaelim, as Rabbeinu Bechaya explains over here. Those are the Arabs, or the Muslims. And he says the following, Vayaret HaKeni, Vayisam Eshalo Vayomar. He visioned the nation of Keni, and he starts talking and saying his prophecy. Etan Moshavecha, you'll be, Etan means strong. Moshavecha, your dwelling, which means the dwelling of Ishmael will be strong throughout the whole entire world. They'll be sitting in every country throughout the world, as we experience it very clearly in our day. Sim basela kinecha. And then he continues and says, V'yisam Eshalo v'yomar, Oy mi yichyeh misumo el. Oy. He's saying a yon, that who will live in the time of Ishmael. How do I know it's Ishmael? The Gemara says, Mi yichyeh misumo el. The Gemara says it's referring to Ishmael. Who would live at that time? Which means people will be dying, they'll be torturing, they'll be burning, as the Mefarshim explained. We'll touch into some of them. But this is how Rabbeinu Bechaya explains here, that we're talking about Ishmael, ועל דרך המדרש, אוי מיכם מisumo el על ישמעאל, שהרי בני קין מזרעו של ישמעאל הם. They come from Cain. And Rabbeinu Bechaya says, כי מיהיה לבאר קין, כלומר מיהיה קין לבאר אש. There will be burning things, as we clearly know that Ishmael constantly, their mentality is about burning things alive, causing fires throughout places. We see in Israel they cause many wildfires throughout forests and other places in the north. And even as we experience, unfortunately, people that are being burnt alive, that is exactly what will happen in those end of days. And the Lashon that the Gemara says, it's Gemara in Sanhedrin Kuf Oy michne misumo el, amar Rab Shimon ben Lakish, oy mi shemechaya atzmo b'shem el. Whoever is complaining, the pasuk Bilam is complaining about those that would be advancing their cause with the cause of God. Mi shemechaya atzmo b'shem el, which means they'll be doing all the destruction in the world, all the killings of the world, all the crimes of the world, and using God as a justification for it. They're saying that this is jihad, this is the right thing to do, this is what we are commanded to do. So that is the complaint, that is what is showing in a sound of pain. Oy michye misumo el. That is Cain in the end of days, and Am Yisrael will conquer them as well. But the nevuah, the prophecy of Bilam starts, ואתה הנני הולך להעמיד לך יצחק אשר יעשה העם הזה לעמך באחרית הימים. As we explained before, לעמך, Rashi tells us, מה שהם עתידים להרע למואב באחרית הימים. What Am Yisrael will do to Moav. Now, who is Moav? We already covered everybody. We covered the Christians and we covered the Muslims. So who is Moav that will be living in the end of days that Am Yisrael will be fighting about? It seems like this is the main war, because that's how he starts off his nevuah, his prophecy, that seems to be some key player over here in Moab. Who is this Moab? It's very strange. Well, we already know, and we explained, that the Gaon Mivilna said there's 3 klipot that Am Yisrael will be fighting in the end of days, that will be ruling over the world. Edom, Ishmael, and the Erev Rav. There is the Erev Rav. Who's the Erev Rav? If we take a look at last week's parasha, Parashat Chukat, in the pasuk, Oy lecha Moav, avat am kemosh, natan banav plitim, bnotav ashevit, lemelech emori Edom. What does it mean over here? Oy lecha Moav, we meet Moav again. So who is this Moav? Targum Yonatan ben Uziel opens our eyes and he says the following. Yeya lechon san'e tzadikaya. He calls Moab those that hate the tzaddikim, those that hate the righteous people. Those are Moab. Avatun am dichmish midesenet pitgame oraita. Since you hate the voice of the Torah, you hate the ideas of the Torah, you hate the teachings of the Torah. Therefore, let leon takanta. You don't have any way to be able to fix yourself. You're ruining everything that you have broken to fix those. You have no remedy for yourself. Let leon takanta. And then he continues. It says, "Uvneon uvnatehon mitrachkan b'shaviat charba," which means the children, the boys and the girls, will be gone in captivity. Now, let's just understand what the pasuk says over here with the Targum Yonatan ben Uziel. As we all know, there were 2 major wars in the previous 120 years: the First World War, Second World War. We all expecting and waiting for the Third World War to break out. It seems like it's very, very close. But what is really happening right now is that we're already in the midst of the Third World War. The Third World War would not be a war with guns and tanks and army. As the Gaon Mivilna explains, he says that the Third World War would not be with guns, would not with ammunition. What is the Third World War? It's the war on idealism. It's the war about everything that has to do with the correct vision of the world, with the right outlook of the world, with sanity, which means we all know that today is an ongoing war, extremely strong, called the progressives. And they are fighting on many different levels and many different battles. They're fighting few things. First of all, they're fighting the gender. There's not anymore a clear gender. You can't tell somebody is a boy. You can't tell somebody is a girl. You can't talk to somebody in a feminine language or to a boy in a way that sounds like he's a man, a boy. In some states, it's even illegal. If a teacher speaks like that to a group of boys in a classroom, they'll fire her. I don't know if there's other consequences as well. But that is what's going on today. There's a war about gender. Today, there's not anymore, not only that there isn't anymore two genders, there's a whole variety of genders. There's maybe like 40 different types of genders, and anybody can add and call himself whatever he wants. He can identify himself as whatever he likes, whether he likes to be a cat, he likes to be a dog, he likes to be a tree, he likes to be nothing at all. Whatever he decides, that's how you are obligated now to identify him. So that's one war, a war about the identity of a person relating to his gender. Then there's a war against identity of the family. Today, not anymore that there's a father and mother like the straight human mind explains and understands, but rather today you can have two fathers or two mothers or three fathers and one mother. In other words, when you go to get documents, city documents, let's say you're trying to get a license, so if you or whatever you have to write, who your parents are, it doesn't say anymore father and mother and just put the name, but rather it could be father one, father two, father three, mother one, mother. If you don't want to call them mother or doesn't want to, it's all open. There's an attack about identity of gender, an attack of the family, on the family. There's an attack on a family, straight out. Then there's an attack of identity of nations, and that is something that we see very clearly today, that the borders are all open throughout all Western countries, whether it is in Europe or even in America. Everything's open, no more borders, anybody can come in. Why is that? Because if you close a border, you identify yourself. You're a nation. You're an American or America. This is the United States of America, and those are the borders. You cross the border, it's Canada. You cross the border, it's Mexico. But when the borders are open, everything loses their identity, and that is the progressive agenda, to make sure that all identities of a person are broken up, are not there anymore. They're not clear anymore. Nothing is clear today. That war is called Erev Rav. All the normal understanding of the Torah, all the what they call judicial Christian values are now not present anymore. Everything is broken up. There's an attack head on all those things, which is really Jewish values. Those Jewish values are what the Targum Yonatan says. He says over here, Oy lechon san'e tzadikaya, oy for those that hate the righteous. And we know that there's a fight against the Torah, against the Avrechim, against those that learn Torah, whether it is in Israel or any other place in the world. But Israel is also sunk in very, very deep in the progressive values, in the progressive destruction. That's how it is over there by the government. This is how it is over there by the leaders. Almost all leaders are infected in that. So it says over here, let lehon takanta, you don't have any way to fix yourself. There's no remedy for you. Why? Midesenat pitgamei oraita, since you hate the values of the Torah. Now, values of the Torah doesn't have to be necessarily the values of the mitzvot of the Torah, which clearly explain 613 mitzvot. Those are primarily and only for those that keep the Torah, which means the Jewish people. But it means over here values of Torah, just understanding that there's a man, there's a woman, and they get married, they have children, those children are boys and girls, they belong to a certain nation. Everything now is unclear. You can't, and not only that everything is unclear, but if you identify somebody as from a certain nation or from a certain gender, and even yourself, you are attacked. You can be imprisoned. In some places they do prison you because you violated something so basic. You insulted a person's identity, and even yourself, you can identify yourself in a certain way because there's an attack on such with all force. And this is what the Nevuah of Bil'am in the last days would be. That's what he says over here, as we explained. Moav are those people that are Erev Rav, as the Gaon Bivina explained, that will make things unclear, all the identities. And Bil'am says, "V'ata hineni olech la'ami, lecha yatzcha asher yaseh ha'am hazeh le'amecha b'acharit hayamim." This is what he'll do for you in the end of days. It's an interesting midrash in Vayikra Rabbah. Over there, it's brought down that when Haman saw that Paro was not successful eliminating the Jewish nation, he said to himself, you know why? Paro only killed the male. He went only after the boys. The girls, as we know from the Pasuk, he let them survive, he let them live. It's only kol ben ililod layor tashlichena ve'bat techayun. The girls, let them live. He said that's a mistake because the girls can have children. The Jewish nation will continue. So therefore, Haman said, I'm gonna eliminate everybody. I'll kill boys and girls, nar vezaken, ish v'isha. Everybody will be eliminated in one day. But he was wrong also. It wasn't successful. So at the end of the days, this Malchut HaRish'ah, this Erev Rav, will come and say before Mashiach comes that that Haman was wrong because he fought Am Yisrael. In order to eliminate Am Yisrael, you have to go to that who is in charge of Am Yisrael, Patronan shel Yisrael, which means you have to fight Hashem, you have to fight God. If you fight him, then Am Yisrael are left unprotected and to be wiped out automatically. So therefore, he'll go to fight Patronan shel Yisrael. He goes to fight Hashem. But how do you fight Hashem? That's impossible. I mean, we're talking about sensible people. Any leader today would go to fight God. How do you fight God? Where is God? How do you fight? You use guns to fight God? How do you fight that? So the answer is very simple. You fight ideology of God. As we said over here, Pitgame Oraita. That's what you fight. If you fight HaKadosh Baruch Hu, way of life, if you fight HaKadosh Baruch Hu ideas of how the world should run, then you're fighting God. That's what they wanted to do. And slowly, if you get Am Yisrael to agree with you and follow you, then everything is now set up for Am Yisrael destruction. That's what we're saying over here. This world war is now happening in front of our eyes, and we're not even feeling it. We hardly know about it. We don't even talk about it. We don't know how to protect ourselves because it's coming to attack us from places we are not familiar with. And it's always camouflaged. You think that they come in order to, as they call themselves, progressive, is to progress the world, to make it a better place to live, to respect people. But the truth is that up to about 20, 30 years ago, the modern way of looking at the world was live and let live. You want to be the way you are? Fine. I want to be the way I am. Respect me, I'll respect you. That is fine. But slowly, things have changed very much, and it's not anymore that each person can live as long as you let the other person live. But rather now they force you to live the way they want to live. They understand the way the progressives teach and preach. Now, this is very interesting because if you take a look at the world today, those progressives that come in different colors and different genders, they attach themselves together with the Islam against the Jews. What's the connection? Those Islam are gonna destroy those people if they just have a chance. Why is it that they became such good friends? The answer is that Islam is also about, in their view, about the loss of identity, which means they'll keep their identity, but you open the door for them to all country, open the borders, and no more borders, and they come in and they take the place. It just happens by itself, and they'll destroy the place. And this is all about the progressive ideas. You open borders in order to destroy everything that was productive up to now. This is how you progress the world. And the Muslims are benefiting their cause. They're helping their cause. Come and take over everything. There's no more borders. There's no more identity. Come and take over, and it's all yours. So this is the war that will be the last war that would be extremely hard, as Bilam explains over here, but will be eventually, in the end of the day, when Mashiach comes victorious, for those that hold to their Jewish values, that hold to the Jewish religion, that hold to all the things that those progressive are trying to destroy and trying to make unclear.